Program Planning Institute. And thank you for remembering to turn on the recording too. So in the chat, real quickly, in the chat, we would like for you to put your name, the college that you represent, your program status. Are you an approved program, a newly approved program, or are you seeking approval? And then maybe 1 to 3 questions you have about the Florida Post-Secondary Education Program Planning Institute. So I'll give you just a minute.
And that way, if we don't answer your questions, we hope to be able to come back to these questions later and make sure we cover all of them.
So just in the chat, if you will, just take a minute and then we'll know who's here. And lots of folks are putting information in there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Got a few more people coming in into the webinar, so welcome. And I will tell everyone that you're going to have lots of new folks to meet this summer.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make lots of new friends and colleagues because we've been busy. We've been very busy, and we've met a lot of wonderful folks from different universities, state colleges, and technical colleges around the state. And a lot of those folks are going to be at the FLPEPPI this year. So, and some of them are here today. So welcome to all of you. So I'm going to move on to the next slide because we do have quite a few slides for you today. And also in the chat window, which is part of the introduction that I left out, in the chat box, you'll also find a copy of today's presentation so that you can follow along with that. You also will receive a recording of the presentation tomorrow once we've uploaded it into YouTube, as well as an evaluation. And we would appreciate you completing the evaluation either at the end of this webinar or tomorrow. So Janice, if you'll click to the next slide, please. Okay. So today's agenda, we're going to give you an overview of the Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs Act. That's what guides us. That's what directs us. That's what really tells us what to do and helps us provide direction to you. An overview of the Florida Post-Secondary Education Program Planning Institute, which is actually required in the legislation that we have an event every year with our programs. An overview of the strategic planning tool. We're going to be talking about preparing for what we call the FLPEPPI. And we're also going to have time at the end for your questions. So the Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program Act, which was passed back in 2016. Can you believe that? It seems like a long time ago, over 7 years ago. And so there are 4 major components. It established the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities here at the University of Central Florida as a state coordinating center. So it's our responsibility to work with all universities, state colleges, technical colleges, and private not-for-profit colleges that are accredited in the state of Florida. Over 120 possible institutions of higher education could develop a program. It also established the framework for Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, which very closely mirrored the Higher Education Opportunity Act and the requirements to become a comprehensive transition and post-secondary or CTP program, which is a federal designation which allows you to receive financial aid for your students. It also funds scholarships because I tell folks they also put some money behind us. So they gave us funding for student scholarships. And we're going to be talking about that a little today and more at the FLPEPPI, because those scholarships have traditionally been $7,000, but there was some proviso language this year that allows us to increase up to $15,000 where a larger scholarship is needed. And it also funds initial and continuing grants. And many of you are very familiar with our grants right now, because we have lots of folks that are renewing their grants. And those grants provide the funding for programs. We know that students with intellectual
He
disabilities
left early.
take
Yeah.
someone might need to mute their we know that it takes additional funding to support Florida post-secondary comprehensive transition programs with students who educate students with intellectual disabilities. Next slide. So this is the purpose directly from the legislation. It's to increase independent living. And isn't that why we all went to school? So that we could have increased independent living and a better quality of life. It's also to provide inclusive and experiential post-secondary education and employment opportunities for students with intellectual disabilities through degree, certificate, and non-degree programs, and establish statewide coordination of the dissemination of information regarding programs and services for students with disabilities. It is the intent of the legislation that students with intellectual disabilities and students with disabilities have access to meaningful post-secondary education credentials and be afforded the opportunity to have a meaningful campus experience. That right there is the heart of Florida post-secondary comprehensive transition programs. I apologize, I'm a little stuffed up. I think that something's blooming and that allergies are trying to clog me up. I know I sound a little nasally, so my apologies for that. So this was the charge to us at the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities. Develop and implement an application, submission, and approval process for becoming and continuing to be a Florida post-secondary comprehensive transition program. Disseminate information to stakeholders, particularly students and families. Administer those initial and continuing grants, and collect, analyze, and report evaluation information regarding program and student outcomes. And we know that we're in the process of doing that right now. Many of you are sending us information on your programs, and I'm sure you're also collecting information and gathering that on your students. So what do we do? What do we provide? We help you with that, prepare that Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program application, your grant proposal, your request for scholarships. We can help you design evaluation plans and help you with ideas on ways to collect and analyze your evaluation data. We can also help you developing that federal comprehensive transition and post-secondary program application. And we also provide feedback to our legislators, just like we did about the scholarships and the need for some students to receive additional scholarship funding, because $7,000 in some cases is not enough funding for the students in some of our programs. Next. All of you are most likely at eligible post-secondary institutions, as I said earlier, state universities, colleges, career technical colleges, and those independent colleges and universities that are not for profit and accredited in the state of Florida. The FPCTP requirements are that you have a meaningful credential, which could include an industry certification, that you focus on employment outcomes, that there's an inclusive context, and that there is no less than half-time enrollment for your students. You also need to have a definition of satisfactory academic progress, or SAP. And it also requires that in 1 year of becoming an approved program, that you complete the Federal Transition and Post-Secondary CTP program application. Janice, would you like to start here by talking about eligible students?
And this is a question that I tell you, almost every week, we still get clarification or request clarification for who are eligible. Students with intellectual disabilities, according to federal definition, are what this act is for. And it may include students with other disabilities as well, but they must include in their diagnoses, there must be intellectual disabilities. So they can have other disabilities along with intellectual disabilities. So keep that in mind. We do remind our programs, particularly those that are coming on board, that we refer to the federal definition and we don't sway from that. Our chancellors who participate in the approval process also looks for that in your documentation, that you're looking at the federal guidelines. Now, those individuals could provide that information. They're required to. So it may be them along with assistance from family members, that they have some documentation that they have actually been diagnosed with an intellectual disability. And the center does not make that determination. Each institution, each program makes that determination of, are they meeting the eligibility requirements for intellectual disabilities? And each program will look at the guidelines and determine how you would do that. Fortunately, many of you work already with an accessibility disability office and kind of tells you and gives you some guidelines that you can tag on to. And as Drew mentioned earlier, the students will attend, not only will they attend less than half time, but these are physical programs. So these are only virtual programs when all of the institution is a virtual institution because of some pandemic, as we recently got out of. But the students are expected to attend physically to each institution. You've mentioned the scholarship already, and you'll see it a couple of times in the presentations. And we do want to be real clear about who's eligible and the scholarship and who receives it. And so as you look at any student that is enrolled, a good thing about how the legislation is written, these scholarships are not competitive. So it's not like the student is writing an essay to 20 for a two-page essay, a 3-page essay or whatever to explain why. Other than that might be your interview requirements. But if you accept them as a student in your program, then they will receive a scholarship for as long as they are in your program. And so keep that in mind about who the students are that will be participating. If you don't know, like we said, many of you who are on the call are approved programs, are established, and the approval process occurs in a virtual platform. Everything we do occurs in a virtual platform. And so we refer to it as the FCSUA community, where you would apply and or renew your application. For those of you who are new and in the approval process or thinking about it, the first approval is for 3 years. After the first 3 years or towards the end of the third year, you submit a renewal application for 5 years, and that continues every 5 years there henceforth. And in that application, there's several components. As Drew referred to earlier, the Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Act aligns with the Higher Education Opportunity Act. So a lot of the components in the application align with the requirements of the federal guidelines for becoming a CTP. And therefore, when programs are approved, 1 year after that time, you are required to have federal status. So you'll have most of your components already in the application: how you recruit, how you assess, how you advise students, what credential do you have, what curriculums will you use, who will you partner with. An important part of your application is that you are working in tangent with, along with the existing services at your institution. These are not special education programs separated in your campus. and that it is your operation only. Your institution's approval process means that it becomes part of your catalog. So as you submit your application at the center, we approve the program first. That's the first stop. Then I send it forward to the responding chancellor at DOE, and that chancellor also approves it. You get state approval at that point, and then 1 year later, you get federal approval. So you're covered at the state and the federal level, and the federal approval helps the students gain access to financial aid via the Pell Grant and student work study. All of our programs are federally approved. And this is important. We laugh when we're working with some of our programs, and for those of you who are new and even some of our seasoned folks, we help you keep the relationship of all the elements in mind. Number one is the application. Nothing happens unless the application is approved. So you'll hear us talk about applications over and over again, and you may be talking about grants, and the grant is not existent unless the application is approved. So keep that in mind, that we have an application that comes first and foremost. After that application, students can receive scholarships, and your institution can apply for a grant for implementation. You are providing services above and beyond what your institution is prepared to do. And you may have been doing a lot of this already, and now you have support to further some of the work that you've been doing through writing a grant proposal. And as Drew has mentioned, we work with you throughout the process for each one of those. But no grant, no scholarship, unless, yes, application is approved. First stop. This is new for some of our established programs. We told you that it was coming, and as of July 1, some of our programs will be able to request up to $15,000 for their students. And that will really depend on, rather, as we look at the cost of attendance for those students. If you have a residential component, are you in multiple sites? Do you have a large number of students with whom you are working? So it's not that our programs and our students could receive 15,000, and it may be within a given program that some of your students who are not living in the residence hall or in the dorms, they won't be eligible for more than 7,000. So you want to keep that in mind as you look at the cost of attendance. I know that some of you have already sent requests for scholarships beginning your academic year for our established programs. You may want to look at that and think about actually what is it that each cost of attendance is for your students. So the scholarships are available, and anything that your financial aid office says can be charged through the financial aid office. Those are things that the scholarships can cover. And again, they will be above and beyond some of the services that some of the students, typical students, may get. Students must remain eligible and in good standing with their satisfactory academic progress. We'll stop here to see, particularly for our new folks, if there's any questions at this point. And I do know in the chat, we had some questions that we can look at. And if any is appropriate at this time, team, if you don't mind reading one that maybe or two that we can answer in relation to this component. I know we'll answer some more. Also.
Sure, Janice. One of the things was there was a question that said, how much time will the teams have to collaborate and share ideas? And I'm just responding that there will be 3 2-hour team planning meetings, which means that you'll have 6 hours.
Yes. And the way that our institute is designed is for networking. The focus is for you to network and share. So that is one way in which you will be able to get that planning time underway. And we know some people go beyond that. Go ahead, Drew.
Janice, another question was that someone has some summer events going on. Let's see exactly. It's wondering if team members can attend partially.
It's most successful if your team members are there. And I think you'll make an adjustment. We can't tell your teams how to do it, and we're happy that your teams are there and with the facilitators, and that we can provide as much information as possible. I'm assuming that would be a team member who probably isn't staying at the hotel, but driving in and headed back to the summer event. So as much as possible, the team that you choose and work with will be able to be at most of the institute, but we do understand the need for flexibility. And we'll answer one more and then we'll go on. Go ahead.
Well, we just have a comment, and it's about getting into the FCSUA community
Yes.
or submitting the application. And in that case, when you have difficulty, reach out to us immediately, to myself, to
Yes.
Janice, to Claudia, and we can help you with that process to understand, because there are security levels, because this is a secured portal, because we have this information in here, so we can always help you if you're having trouble logging in to the FCSUA community, or if you're having trouble logging in to the strategic planning tool. Please let us know and we'll be happy to help you.
Okay, and we'll pick up on some other questions as we go through. And please post them if you don't ask. So we're going to move on and talk about the FLPEPPI. So we gave you some background information about the act and who we are as a center, and helping you, particularly our new folks, understand what the foundation of why we do this. And as Drew said, we do this annually. We are required to do this. And when we do the FLPEPPI, it really is to expand FPCTPs across the state of Florida. We've gone back and forth about the count. We know there's over, or at least 120 eligible institutions in the state that are eligible to become a Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program. And we go after each one of those continuously throughout the year. We're happy to announce Osceola Technical College is our new member to becoming an approved FPCTP. So yay!
And I see Patty is waving. So welcome,
we
Patty.
welcome them. And we'll look forward to providing a lot of support to their success. But the purpose is to work with each institution across the state to expand and the different levels in which we have already addressed. It's also to help increase understanding of available resources. That's one that we get constantly about what are some resources, or asked about resources, and we're happy to provide it as part of our charge. We look forward to providing information to our programs and to people who want institutions that want to become a program, as well as resources for the students that are part of those programs and family members who are interested in that. We want to also focus on the purpose of increasing content knowledge for developing or enhancing the programs. We know you write a plan just like any lesson plan that a teacher would write, and then you get underway and maybe you need to make some changes, and that's okay. When we have the Institute, as well as any other time during the year, we like to help you improve your program. That is a focus and purpose of us doing the FLPEPPI, for improving and understanding how you can enhance your program. Also, to provide a professional facilitator to help you with planning. Sometimes it's difficult to get with your team members across the community as well as within your institution. So we provide a facilitator to actually help with planning and help hopefully with an interdisciplinary team, diverse group of members who can assist you in your program development and implementation. And the purpose is to build networking. A lot of times we meet, we do webinars throughout the year, we go around, we see institutions, look at programs and institutions, but you talk with each other. This is a great opportunity for you to get up and meet up with each other to talk about particulars. Like Brooke said, yay, somebody else is on board that I can collaborate with. And when we think about the focus of the FLPEPPI, it is to share and collaborate. We are not in competition. We operate as a family. And so with that, we are interested in showing Florida as well as the United States what we can do. What we can do with this legislative support And so we celebrate all of our accomplishments. We also want to improve accountability. There's a lot of financial resources available for us to move forward, providing students money, providing institutions with funds for implementation and improvement. So we want to be accountable. And all of that is noted in our FCSUA community. And more important is, a big important part is addressing the sustainability. Our programs are here to stay. They're a fabric of each institution. So how do we address it? You tell us, you help us, we monitor what you do, you give us feedback, we try to make a difference and provide resources to help you do that. We support all team levels. There's no team that will not get our support. And we like for each of our institutions and programs to focus on the evidence-based and promising practices that says what's a good post-secondary education program. We are doing it based on research. And so as we look, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the tool and the PEPPI, a little more about the strategic planning tool. This is just, I know everyone has been in Hoover. I know everyone has downloaded the app. I know you know the program, and we are continuing to update it so that it can be user-friendly as possible. But I do want you to note, for 9 to 3 on Monday, this is an important workshop for team leaders. This workshop is for team leaders and preferably someone from your grants office. So it's not meant to be for your entire team. It is for 1 to 3 people of your team who will be involved in grant writing so that you can understand the components of the grant, whether that be invoicing, whether it's your annual report and its maneuvering. So the first part of the day, 9 till 11, will really be a review and for newcomers. So as you think about that day, we'd love all of you there all of the time. But as you're engaging and think about when are the critical hits, we don't want to bore anyone for our established programs. And I've learned from our programs that as often as you come, you learn new things. But we will target a review process and how you get in the FCSUA community and maneuver across the grant components 9 to 11. We'll have lunch, and after lunch, we'll get into, for the more advanced, those established program, answer some of those questions that you guys have been helping us with tweak actually in the community as you do your invoices, your annual reports, modifications, and so forth. That'll be new news for those programs that are not established. And you can see the rest of the day on Monday there. But please keep in mind what the grant workshop is for. 1 to 3 of your members, not the entire team. The next day, we are excited to have an employer award. And thank you for the established programs who've identified inclusive employers across your community who's been working with your program. So we hope to be able to announce who that is and recognize that person. And then we'll have a student panel, awesome student panel. They may be students who have just completed the program and or students who are in the completion process to talk about their experience, their work life. And that always helps us learn more about how we can be improved programs. And again, you can see the rest. Your facilitated planning time on that day, excuse me, will include a working lunch. And you know, these are things that I'll go over again at the general session on Monday, but I want you to be prepared to understand what will be included. We have 6 breakout sessions each time. And so we'll talk through that as we look at it. Another way that you're going to connect with your colleagues other than facilitated planning is you will be in type-alike institutions. That means there will be an 11:45 to 2:45 time where we've gotten pretty big, and our last report out we did last year, we have to do something different. We want to hear everybody's planning on what their plans are and how what their accomplishments are. So you will be in your type alike. That is, state colleges will be together, technical colleges will be together, and universities will be together to report how your planning has gone and what your plans are for the year. And it would also be structured where you collaborate and talk about other things. It'll be a facilitated session where you will be broken out by levels to talk through. Then you'll come back together as a group, as a whole, and we'll finish up on Wednesday afternoon. Claudia is going to talk with you a little bit about the component of the Institute that includes Hoover that I know everybody has kind of done. Do I need to stop sharing, Claudia, and you share, or how would you like to do it?
I think I can take over.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So hopefully, as Janice was saying, everyone that has registered, every team leader that has registered their team members, those team members also received a notification email saying that they have been registered, and that email includes information on how to access Hoover. But I will share anyways the link in the chat later, so you will have it. Basically, just if you don't have an account with Hoover yet, you just have to go to that URL and use the email address that you usually use to communicate with you and just create an account. My recommendation is, this is what you're seeing is the web view, but my recommendation is that you download the app because it's going to be very helpful. We can tell you that Hoover has improved their system and their platform every time that we set up a new event. So every time that we get to this time of the year and we set up for the mid-year, the PEPPI, they have new things. So this is going to be very helpful. You can have the agenda on your hands with your phone, the map of the conference area at the hotel, everything is there. So my advice is really for you to download the app. One thing that I do like a lot about this is that when you go to the agenda, you can personalize your own agenda. So you can look in all the sessions and you can start building your agenda. So you can start planning from this point, from today, how is it that week is going to look for you, adding it to your agenda. So it is to, and if you have it in the app, it's very helpful because it kind of sends you like reminders, notifications. So it is very, very helpful. We are also setting up an expo. So for those of you that are new programs, so we will have content resources that you will be able to request. So those content resources with our agencies that can offer support to your program, they're going to be sharing information in there, as well as you will be able to talk to them during the reception that we have in the afternoon. But also the established programs will have their videos, their flyers. So it's a good way for you to visit the expo and see what other programs have to share in terms of resources. So that's a good area to visit also in Hoover. And the other feature that I do like a lot, and I can tell that a lot of participants that have been already signing into Hoover and have the app, if they're using the community. So this is a big space for you to engage, to ask questions, to pose topics that you want to talk about, for everyone at the Institute to be connecting and networking. So you can actually ask us questions in here. If something is going on and you want to let us know, to us as organizers, there's a room for that. People are sharing articles that are a common interest for the programs, like future conference that you can attend. So there's a lot to look in the community. And as I said, you can add your own topics. So those questions that you want to ask, you can just ask it from this point on. And I think there's some topics already posted in there, and we have started seeing like answers from participants already. So I really encourage you to visit the community. We will have a little bit more going on. So there's an area for you to post photos of your students. If you take photos during the Institute, you can do that. But again, my advice is that you really have the app. You can always see everything on the web, but I really recommend at this point, the app is the way to go with this, because it's like you having the Institute in your hands to go with you everywhere. Janice, I think that's that covers the basics of Hoover. And again,
Okay.
just click here and there.
Claudia?
Feel free to navigate
Claudia,
and learn, explore. Yes.
can you show them the leaderboard? Because I would imagine that we have a few people in this group that might be competitive and might enjoy social.
That's a good
media. And so if you
question.
just tell them about that.
That's a good question. Well, you're seeing, so ignore me because I have a bunch of points, but we don't count. So you're the ones that count in here. So everything that you do in here actually counts. So if you post questions, if you share articles, if you engage with other participants and you set up meetings, so everything gives you points. And we actually do, we look at this and we do some sort of contest and award at the end. Like we make sure that to mention that because we found that participants through the Institute really like to engage in this competition and really engage in the community and share information. That's a good suggestion, Drew.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing. And I will post the link in the chat for everyone.
Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Am I sharing the right screen?
No, you need to switch it.
Okay. Share. I was trying to I was trying to put the right Hoover link in there, Claudia. So I apologize. I kept going trying to put the right one. Is that the right? Am I sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I was
Yes.
trying to put the right link and I put the wrong one. So now there should be the right one. Thank you. Thanks, Claudia. So if you have any questions about that, this is a great place to network again. So we've thought about others and those of you who've been attending the Institute are used to the Hoover by now. So we hope you do some meetups. Our Institute components are content sessions and all of this is built around helping our programs become stronger and expanding the opportunities you have at your institution. We'll have content sessions. Those are what we call breakouts. Those sessions will be a number of sessions. So as you're working with your team, you want to meet up with them to identify how do we expand or break away and come back together to get as much resource information as we can that will help us with our planning during the Institute. You have professional facilitators who are helping you. During your planning session, as Drew has mentioned before, you have 6 hours of planning time. Content resources are experts who will work with you. And then we have strategic planning throughout the Institute. That is the focus for you to do planning in a different environment, not in the FCSUA community, in the online strategic plan, where you will actually work on goals of how you will improve your program or establish it. And as I mentioned, the content sessions, what we call content sessions or general sessions and breakout sessions to help you move through planning your, identifying goals and planning for the year about how you will improve what you're doing. We can't work and do well without our expert facilitators. And by the way, we have 30 plus teams. Somebody asked earlier, how many teams are there? How many new teams? Well, as of yesterday, we now have 22 approved programs, and there will be 30 other programs there that may be representing a district, technical college, a university, and or state college. So, and as you can see, they range in size. Our facility during the facilitated planning time, that is when our experts and whether it be the facilitator helping you walk through your strategic plan, as well as content resources, the people that we call content resources can come to visit. And that is the time during the facilitated planning where after you've gone out to those breakout sessions and learned information, you've divided and conquered, come back, talk about it, debrief about it, get into your tool, help you think about domains and benchmarks that you want to address, as well as prepare for a team report out at the end. Yes, I'll have to keep saying that. A team report out at the end. There will be lots of theater going on towards the end of the institute, and we always enjoy that. We have invited content resources this year, some who will be online. They will only be online. Some will be in person, and we hope that they'll be at our expo on that first night together. You'll meet them. Some will be some of our speakers of the content sessions. We'll have a document available for you to see who those content resources are, and you'll see them online. So again, some will be across the country, but they will let us know that they can be available to join your team at any time. And we ask that in order to share time with the content resources, that you take about 20 minutes. So you want to be prepared before, and we'll have a evaluation, a Qualtrics form that you'll complete with the questions the content expert or resource should be expected to answer. This is critically important because those individuals are taking out their time to be available for your team, and we invite them every year. And we ask that you use them. You don't realize the value that they bring to helping your team with planning. Your facilitators will emphasize this over and over again. They're not here just to enjoy the sun in Florida or to be at a nice hotel. They're here to help. They're as committed as you are in having established programs that are inclusive and make a difference, and they can be very helpful. So we implore you to study those content resources and use them, call them in, so that they know that you can, they are sharing the information as well. We often find that after the PEPPI or after a webinar, we're being asked questions that the content resources were there and available, and no one ever called on them. No one ever asked them, and they're there just like you are to spend time. So take advantage of them, please. All of our planning is based on the taxonomy for post-secondary comprehensive transition programs. And Drew, you want to start here, kind of pick up here to talk about it. Our evidence-based and promising practices in which the strategic plan is designed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The taxonomy for post-secondary comprehensive transition programs, and you're going to see some slides that really lay that out in an infographic, but it's a guided framework that has been used to assist institutions of higher education to develop inclusive post-secondary education programs. I want you to be sure and be aware that everything we're doing is based on research. We're located at a university. We know that many of you are at universities, state colleges, and technical colleges, and lots of folks have ideas of what might be best to do, but we want programs to be based on what research is telling us and using evidence-based and promising practices. So we want you to have a tool that can help you with capacity building. Because, you know, we encourage programs not to start out too large, but to build, to begin, and then to build. And we all know that if we're in education, strategic planning and continuous quality improvement is going to be something that we're going to be focused on. It's something that we want to do. We always want to do better. We want to improve. And so all of this started by using a framework that was developed actually by Lyman Dukes and some of his colleagues, as well as research done by Dr. Paula Kohler. Many of you remember, our first executive director and colleagues, and also Meg Griegel, who is with Think College, and some of her colleagues. We took all of that research and put that together. Next slide. And so here's a graphic to really just have a visual for you to conceptualize in one place. What is the taxonomy? You see what the center or the heart is. It's student focused. And we all know that we need to be focused on students first. Then you move on to faculty and staff focused, because we know that we're going to need faculty and staff there to support students to be successful. Next, we're going to look at the program itself and the institution. And so it's going to be program and institution focused. And then the greater picture. And this is an area that lately I've been really trying to really know every component of and understand better. And I'm telling you, concept and system development is huge because it's about your mission and how your mission aligns. So even though it's it's the outer ring, it really encompasses everything that you're doing. So let's go on to the next slide, Janice, and we'll talk about each of these a little bit.
Mhm.
So each of these domains are divided into different benchmarks with a focus. You aren't going to be surprised that for students, and many of you that may have some special education background or have worked with students with disabilities, we use a person-centered planning approach. If we're not working in an area where students have strengths and interests, students are probably not going to be successful. We also look at self-determination skills. And as I've said throughout my career, I don't know anyone that doesn't need more self-determination skills. I certainly know that I do, and I need to be working on self-determination skills all the time. Paid work experience, we know that research tells us that paid work experience leads to students having better paid work experience after they complete the program. Financial aid support, very important to anyone who's a student in post-secondary education. And then students' rights and responsibilities. So really, what are their rights? But what are their responsibilities? Because students play a large role in this, and they're adults in post-secondary education. Next. Faculty and staff, professional development is critical for the faculty engaged in providing education instruction to your program. All learners have access and supports, and the IHE faculty and staff engage and support programs. So faculty and staff across campus environments model high expectations and respect for all students. We all know that high expectations are something we must have because students will rise to the expectations that we have for them. Next. Let's look at the program and institution focused domain. Student recruitment and enrollment. I mean, this is what you do. Right now you're looking at, I know you're looking at recruitment and enrollment for next year. You've been looking at that. It's critical. The credential and the competitive integrated employment that students will experience is very critical that you plan that into your programs. Materials and resources, and then program evaluation, knowing if your program is working and what are the outcomes of your program. Let's move to the last domain, Janice. Concept and system development. Mission aligns with FPCTPs. We just spoke the other day to a group of vice presidents from state colleges over in Daytona. And one of the things that we shared with them is we asked the question, what is your mission as a state college? And for all state colleges, we know that we may not have their mission memorized, but we know that their mission is to serve their community and to provide education to all those who are desiring post-secondary education. Our programs certainly align with that. We're also looking at a commitment to diversity. Accommodations, modifications, and supports are critical to the students that we have in Florida post-secondary comprehensive transition programs. Standards of practice, evaluation of metrics, and engagement with the community. And many of you are very engaged in the community. All of these are very critical. And within each of these areas in the strategic planning tool, there are reflective questions. There are measurement data. So there's lots of hints for you to really think of what should I be looking at when I'm looking at engagement with the community. And in the strategic planning tool, you'll be able to find a lot of ideas that help you know that you are engaging with your community. Next. So this taxonomy lives within Transition Program Tool, which is our online strategic planning tool. So there are two components. There's the transition component for K-12, and lots of school districts use that for their K-12 transition planning. And there's post-secondary education when we're looking at programs like ours, inclusive post-secondary education programs. You notice, you recognize those 4 different domains. All of those domains are within the strategic planning tool. Next.
What we'll do next is let Claudia do a quick walkthrough to kind of reiterate some of the things that Drew has said. You have the slides. We're not going to go slide by slide for the handout. You have that for reference. Claudia is going to get into the portal and kind of walk you through what you would do. And this is particularly helpful for the new teams and a good review for our established teams to know that this platform is where you will spend your time at the Institute. And we'll pick back up after that. Ready, Claudia? Almost. I see your lips moving, but are you talking to yourself? So, no, you lost us? I think she lost us.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
It's okay.
So, as Drew was saying, yes, there are the 2 components, and for all of you, you will direct to the post-secondary education component. Right now, for those established teams, you are working on your end of the year reports and the 2023 plans. And some of the ones that are trying to apply, working on the process of the application, you all know that the first step is actually going into the online strategic planning tool. So if we have some of those team leaders here, you also worked on your 2023 plan for a little bit. We're closing registration Friday for the FLPEPPI. So next week, we will start opening up the 2024 round of planning. So all of you, all the teams that are coming to the Institute are going to have a 2024 plan. What we will do is we will enter the person that was indicated as a team leader, and we also assign a facilitator. All that happens starting next week after we close registration on Friday. As you will see in the slides, the URL is transitionprogramtool.org, and we were saying the component to visit is the post-secondary education. One thing to say here, if you have questions, you can contact us, but this email that you're seeing down here, if you have any questions, it comes to us. We
Claudia?
check that.
Claudia, you're not
It's
sharing.
showing.
You're
It's
not sharing.
showing.
Sorry.
It's just showing your screen.
Beautiful
It's showing-
scenery.
I'm sorry about that.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. So the email, I was referring to this email down here. So the FCSUA support at UCF.edu. So I check that email. We check that email. So if you have any questions, you can also use that email to communicate and ask questions about the planning tool. So I'm going to go ahead and go in. This also, I wanted to mention that forgot my password for some of you that are returning users, and for some reason you don't remember, I will say this is a good resource for you to reset your password. So you'll get an email with a temporary password that you will use to set up a new password for your account. I'll go ahead and log in, and I'm going to pick up just one. Actually, I'm going to pick up the plan that we started on. So as you could see, in my case, as you're seeing, I'm seeing all the plans, but for you, you will only see your most current plan. So next week, we will set up 2024. So when you sign in, you will see 2024 as your plan listing here, because it's the active plan, is the most recent plan. That's what we call the active plan. So to access, you will click on select, and you will land on the dashboard. One thing that Janice was referring to, take advantage of the document sharing, link sharing resources that you have. This is a good way to put resources for your entire team. Documents that you want everyone to see, websites that you want all the team to visit. So that is a good area for you to start organizing the information that you want your team to have like very in hand. So this is a good place to allocate that information. So you as a team leader, you can share, but all your team members can do too. So it's like a common, like a big folder for you to put information and you want everyone to have available, and others in your team can do it too. So you can also navigate through the entire tool from the dashboard. This table I like to call a summary of your plan, because it have access to every step that you are going to develop. Your first step, as I mentioned, you're going to see as a team leader your name and your facilitator name. If you are a returning team, what's going to happen is that your previous team members list is going to pull over the 2024 plan. So first step is always going to be just check that everyone that's listed here on your team members is actually the team members that are part of your team. Someone might not be the part of the team anymore. So I will always say step one is go and check, make sure that the names and emails there are accurate. Another thing that we like to emphasize is taking advantage of the note taker role. Maybe you as a team leader want to give that assignment to someone else to help you enter data, to enter information. So that's what the note taker is. So just anyone in the team that is in that list can be assigned the note taker role. You as a team leader can do that. So I will always recommend taking advantage of that. And then you move on to your assessment process. And here are the 4 domains that Drew was talking about in all the benchmarks. There's a lot of information in here. I just wanted to show you. It's not possible for us to show you everything, but take advantage of the hints, the tips that you're getting from every link that you see. Use the reflective questions, use the examples of the indicators. So you have an idea of what's happening every benchmark that you're going through. And you can do that through every domain that we have included in the taxonomy. The only thing to mention here is very important, and I'm going to use the student focus, is for you to develop a plan. And when we set a plan, it's a goal, tasks that you're going to accomplish to achieve that goal, outputs and outcomes from that goal. You have to say that you're going to develop a plan. So this checkbox that you see here has to be active. And if you want to develop a plan around students, if you want to do it for faculty, you need to make sure, oh, and this is very important, I actually did something, I changed it, and I was going to move away, and the system told me that I have something that's not safe. So now you're going to get this a little bit more often. So we put a little bit more in place so you don't lose your information, because we have some people like experiencing that data was going away, or maybe you forgot to save it. So now you're getting more checks. So you make sure that you save before you move to your next step. So that's what happened in there. So because I select develop plan for student focus, now I'm going to move to making my plan. Because I selected a student focus, and it looks like we were already playing in this, and I also have one plan for program and institution. I can see that my benchmark for student focus is there, and I can click on start a goal. So in there, you can start writing your goal, selecting the strategies that you're going to follow. And again, you have examples every step of the way. You're getting examples. How is it that you write a goal? That are good examples, strategies, what are their definitions? So take advantage of all these things, and see these menus, you can move them around. So if you have multiple screens and you're working and you have the opportunity to do this, actually you can do this. You can move your planning to the side and have your example strategies on the other side. So it's a good way for you to have everything in one place so you can start and writing your plan. So you can define your tasks, assign who is going to be responsible, what is the projected date, go through your outputs, what your output products are going to be. Again, examples in there for you to know what an output is and what good examples of outputs are. Same thing with outcomes, your indicators and your data sources. And something important to emphasize, don't forget these questions down here. So we look at these questions, which are your request for additional resources, for technical assistant requests. So we go through this after you're done with your planning to see what is it that you need. So make sure that if you are focused on the students, so make sure that this reflects that if you need that additional support, so we can help you, assist you more in that area. And something else that changed for those that have been around the planning tool for a little bit is that this is not up here all the time. It doesn't matter where I go, the save action is there. So you can scroll down all the way and you're safe. It's going to be there every time, so you don't forget that you have to do it. But the system, it will not let you write something in and move away, because it will prompt you to save it. So I'm going to go back. And this is because this is a brand new plan, just something that I want to mention for those who are returning teams. Remember that you have the opportunity, and that will show next to the instructions on Make It Plan. You can clone your goals from last year. This is something that as a reminder for returning teams, but it's also a good thing to share with the new team. So if you write it and you're not completed and you come back to the Institute in 2025, you can clone your goals. So it's not every time it's starting from scratch. So it's a good way. It's a good way just to keep using the information and repurpose it and editing and updating. So that function will be here, and you will see all your previous goal if you have goals and plans from the previous year. I think this covers most of the planning process. The rest of
Claudia.
reporting, yes.
I just wanted to share with folks something that worked for me thinking about this planning tool, this strategic planning tool. As Claudia is showing you, she's showing you steps 1, 2, and 3. And that's what we'll be working on during the PEPPI this July. Then when you get to November and December this year, you're going to go to step 4. Claudia, could you click to step 4, which is reporting? And you're going to do a progress report of where you're at halfway through the year. You planned in July. Where are you at in January? And we're there. This is simply for us to support you. We're not checking up on you. We're simply wanting to help you through this process. That's step 4. Your facilitator reaches out to you, wants to help you with that. Then before, and this has probably happened with many of you in the last couple of months, your facilitator reaches out again and says, hey, let's do the strategic plan end of year report, which is step 5. And right there on step 5, it helps you, it pulls all of your goals forward, and you're able to complete step 5 to really know, how has the strategic planning worked? We don't expect anyone to be an expert on strategic planning. That's why we provide a skilled facilitator to help you with this process. It's why we use Alicia Sternberg Mahan to come in and talk to us about technical soundness, because we know how important strategic planning is. And I just wanted to share that with you all, because it really helped me conceptualize strategic planning and the process that you will use over and over, year after year after year. You'll do step 1 through 3 at the PEPPI. Step 4, you'll do at the end of the year for the January meeting. And then you'll do step 5 before you come to PEPPI next year. And then you'll have a new plan whenever you come to PEPPI to start off fresh.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, Drew. And that actually reminds me of another set of things that we have added. It is the capability of downloading all this information. So you can take this with you to someone that needs it. If you want to share it or have it on your computer, there are available different formats. So PDF and Excel are there. So you can download your assessment in both formats. You can download your plan, which is a step 3 in Excel and PDF as well. And for both reports, the progress report and the end of the year, you can download PDF versions of those. So that is another resource there in case that you need that data. So you can take it from the planning tool.
And Claudia, that's important because for those of you who have developed a plan and you are either writing an initial application and a new grant, or you're renewing an application or writing a continuing grant, we refer to the strategic plan and what areas did you address? And we go back to that. So you would have that document you can download. You can look at what your team has done, in addition to, if you're an established team, what you've done with your program data anyway, but for new teams. We refer to the strategic plan in the application as well as in the grant. So if any of you are in that process, that's what we're asking you for. What did you focus and how do you connect that with what you're doing based on your status? Okay.
Stop sharing.
Okay, let's make sure I do this right. Am I sharing the right screen?
Yes.
Questions? Are there other questions related to the strategic plan? You are mighty quiet. And we know we're dealing with geniuses. We do. We also know that there's a lot of information. And a good thing is we're here, we'll be here at the Institute, and your facilitators are well prepared to answer your questions. We just
Yes.
ask you, yes.
We do have a question, and someone
Okay.
is sharing that Huva is asking for an invitation code.
Well,
So maybe
that,
that link.
if that person is registered in Huva for the FLPEPPI, it should not ask. So I will take a look. So if you could please share your email address in the chat with me, I will take a look, but most likely is because you still have to register, because once you're registered, it really does not ask you for that code. Once you're registered, you can log in into your account if you're already a Huva user, and if you're a new user to Huva, you can use that email address and set up an account, and you will see the FLPEPPI as part of your events.
Great. Any other questions?
Hello?
Did I hear?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So my question, having just done my final progress report today, and hopefully correctly, is if I indicate that the activity, the task has been achieved, the goal has been reached. However, it's still an activity that I want to do again. I'll give you a concrete example. We wanted to have our very first open house. We had our very first open house. I checked off that I did it, but I do plan to do it again. So I know that by checking off I did it, I assume it is now removed, from my next plan. I know that I'm doing it again. Is there an issue where I need to say, no, I'm doing it again?
Linda, you're talking about the end of the year report in the planning tool, right?
Correct. That is what I'm
Okay.
talking about. Yes.
So let me check very quickly, but in the case of the planning tool, it should not be removed the next time that you do it. That only applies to the FCSUA community. That happens only when you're doing your quarterly invoices, your summary of activities and your quarterly invoices reports.
Okay.
Is that once you achieve something, it cleans up
Yes.
the list of your next round.
Okay.
So in the planning tool, you should be good. If you said that it was achieved, it's fine because you will see everything again next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But so I can just add new things, but it will still be there.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And remember, you can clone your goals too.
Right.
And I can clone.
Yeah, so you can
Yes.
clone.
Okay.
You're used to cloning, so
I
you can
am.
clone and edit. Yeah, great question.
Can I ask one more
Yes.
quick question? It's a
Mhm.
funding question, and if this isn't the time or place, let me know. But as I understand it, so I'm applying for another 3 years of grant funding.
Continue.
But my program application, I believe, runs out in 2 years?
2025? Yeah, that's correct. And so that's a
Okay.
great question, Joanne, Linda, because as we mentioned initially, when you were approved for 3 years.
Right.
After that, in 2020, you got approved again, which is 5. In
Right.
2025, you will renew again for another 5. So it'll be 5, 5, 5, always with the program application for
Okay.
you from now on. With the
But I can
grant-
still ask for the 3 years of funding?
Yes, that,
Okay,
remember,
all right.
numero uno is approved program.
Yes, gotcha.
And
Okay.
everything follows after that. Drew?
And just to share with you, but Linda, at any time that your program approval ends and you have not renewed it,
Mhm.
look at it like this. There's a door and that
Mhm.
door says program approval.
Right.
When you open that door, you see lots of money. You see money everywhere. You see a big pile of money that says student scholarships, and you see another stack of money that says your grant, FPCP grant.
Yes,
That door is the door that opens up that funding. And
Gotcha.
if that door ever closes,
I have to reapply.
you don't have access to that funding
Right.
until that program is approved. I just,
Okay.
I kind of have used, because people there, it's a different process for many people. And so just trying to make it very, very clear that
Right.
program approval opens the door
For the
to-
grant.
to the funding,
Right,
to the grant and to the scholarship funding.
right. What's a little confusing is that it's different
It's
time
staggered.
frames.
Yeah, it's
certainly-
staggered.
So that's,
Yes.
that's what I'm clarifying in my head. Yeah.
Grants are always max 3 years, always
Yes.
max 3 years, always max 3 years.
Got it, got it.
At some point, the program application and grant will be on the same schedule, but more than likely they will be staggered. And that's
Yes,
helpful
okay.
because you'll always have an approved program and you should be working on your grant to keep up with the. approval.
Okay, I've got it.
And
Thank
Linda,
you.
we did not have a say in that, just so you'll know.
Yeah, it is a little peculiar, but yeah.
We did not have a say in that. That's the way the legislation was
I
written,
understand. I
because
understand.
it does get a little confusing.
Yes, yes, sir.
Other questions? Okay. Then we'll move on and helping you think about, as you prepare for the PEPI. Think about, if you already have a plan, you want to review that plan that Claudia just went over. We just finished talking about, you want to make sure your end of the year report is done by June 30th. So that's, everything is right around the corner. I tell you, June just started and it's already over. And so if we look a little crazy, when you call us next week, it'll be a good reason as we prepare for the PEPI and do everything else that you're doing as well. But you want to make sure you're up to speed on your planning too for those established teams. Those new teams, Claudia won't enter you until after we finish registration and you'll see the 2024 plans. There are tools that are available. We have a team leader manual and we have a user's manual. It actually goes over everything in the strategic plan. And so you will have that when we get to the PEPI, you'll have it, and Claudia is going to load those up in the chat for you as well. The user's manual is for everyone. Team leaders kind of guide you in thinking about how you work with your team and the facilitator through the strategic plan. If you haven't used it, again, this is a resource that is at your disposal. We recommend, particularly for our new teams, that you bring a laptop and encourage others to also bring a laptop. We've had some teams that bring little miniature screens so everybody can see where you are and doing everything. And if you don't, we'll have resources available that from the hotel, as well as from our center to help you make sure everybody can see and know where you are. Our facilitators have also been asked to bring a laptop. So you will be in your team planning times and you want everyone to be able to see what you're doing all of the time. One of the questions that I wanted to clarify, particularly for our new teams, if you've not had a team or if this is your first time with the grant, if you have a grant with us, then you are responsible for travel for your team members who come and join you. So you want to make sure you're prepared to pay for their travel. As you know, We are paying for the hotel. You're paying for everything else. And keep that in mind that you are taking care of that. If you're a new team and do not have a grant with us, you know that if your institution does not pay for your travel, the center is paying for your travel. And we should have connected with you already to make sure we have the preliminary paperwork in place so that your travel can be reimbursed outside of the hotel and meals that we provide. You want to make sure you talk with your teams. Believe it or not, some teams have come and they don't know where their team leader is. They don't know each other. And so make sure that you all registered your teams. Make sure that you communicate with them and try to get them ready for collaborating and networking and sharing and planning strategically at the Institute. You will be assigned a facilitator, as Claudia mentioned, within the next week after we finish, registration. And so we want to make sure that you connect with the team, with the facilitator. Facilitators have been given a charge to contact you as soon as they are assigned to you. And in many cases, you may have the same facilitator, but not necessarily so. So please, when that facilitator reaches out to you, please respond. We do want to emphasize that teams are not one person. If you have registered for the team, for the FLPEPPI, and there is only one person, we ask that you look around to see whom else can join, because this is a team event. There's nothing for sole members to come. Nothing that we do is sole. So it is a team event. And it may be that the next FLPEPPI would be the most beneficial for you if you're not able to bring a team at this time. So please remember that. Think about your team members, and as Claudia's gone over, you want to make sure you identify if it's you or someone else will be the team leader and who will be the note taker. That Hoover app is going to be extremely important. It's going to have a lot of the hotel information. And so you want to make sure your team members know how they can get into and how they can use that Hoover app. As a team leader, your role is to make sure all of your team members are registered in Hoover and have made hotel reservations if where appropriate. Some of your team members may be driving in each day, but you are responsible for helping make sure. We do monitor the registration and the hotel, and we may reach out to you to get clarification in the event we are not sure. You want to make sure each team member feels like they're part of the team. So we ask that you encourage them to be active members, because everybody's words counts. And always connect with your facilitator. You directly connect with the facilitator. Our structure is the facilitator communicates directly with the team leader, of course, with the team, but that all communication is coming between you and the facilitator with us. I do want to emphasize that, particularly when you are requesting a content resource, if you have technical problems, the facilitator is going to be the first one to reach out to us and let us know, hey, something's wrong, as quickly as possible. And our team will float around to make sure we're available. So you always want to connect with us, and we'll have our information available, how you can reach us, who you connect with, and we will be there to support you for any technical support and clarifications that you may need. During the FLPEPPI, get with your team. You're going to be at the expo. I hope all, and we're looking forward to all of you who are established teams will be at the expo with your table as we were last year, so that we, again, that's a networking opportunity to learn and share with each other. Our content resources and agencies will also be at the expo. So bring your materials, bring information to share. You've been so good at letting others know about, hey, this is helpful. This is what we've used, and your colleagues have benefited from that. When you're during planning and looking into the strategic plan, look over those benchmarks. There's 4 domains Look over those domains and benchmarks and be familiar with it and decide on a starting point. Your facilitator will be prepared to help you through that. Your data, you can share all data in the plan. You can start uploading it now. Things you want your team to look at, links you want your team members to go to. You have that control right now. It doesn't have to be the last minute. And it can be during that time where you run across resources and you want to share it, maybe during a breakout session or something you want. You want to make sure you have some really good discussions around those benchmarks in each one of those domains. Be specific, help your team know. A lot of them might be new members coming with you, and it might be new for you. So talk through them and your facilitator will be prepared to do that. We ask that you complete at least one good plan, one plan. That means you may identify one goal. Claudia showed you how to do that. And we want you to work through that entire plan. You can use data. This is just data that you might consider uploading or thinking about. We ask you in the application for new programs about your catchment area. You want to know what the data is in that area. Who is your target that you're going to have as students in your program? Who will you recruit and partner with? So you have a variety of data that can be valued in planning out for 1 year. You're planning 1 year at a time. And that's what you're going to focus on. Whether you use school district data to talk about the indicators or other relevant information about your program as it currently exists. Even your institution's missions and goals. That's important as you think about it and how you want to align with that. When we think about the information that you are covering and planning during the Institute, you always want to review what you're doing, share it, and move forward. So wrap up, think about the summarizing what you're doing, summarizing your progress. We will have a team report out process where each team will report either your PowerPoint, a video, a song, a dance, a play, something to tell us about your goal for no more than 3 minutes. That will occur during your type alike. And so during your type alike, and at that time, that would be a great time for your team to ask questions and to share and network again. But as you get all of those resources together and wrap up, again, take advantage of the features that you see and be prepared when you get to the report out to help each other do well in Florida. What leads to success is a well-prepared team, and we're hoping that we're giving you enough information. Think about your role as a team leader to get your team prepared. Also, being able to access data. If you're sharing data, if your team members have data that can be shared to help you with your goals, please do that and upload it. If the strategic plan is a great place for you there or any other environment. You know, a successful team works well when you have an outsider, whether that's a person familiar with you or not. That expert facilitator is going to move you through, help you get through those kinks to meet your goals in developing at least one good plan. And be open to new ways of thinking and making a difference. You have been doing phenomenal work in your professional career. Now you're coming with team members from across your area, and maybe everyone doesn't think the same, which is fantastic. It gives you great opportunity to think about how you can make a plan that is very inclusive and innovative. And if you don't ask questions, you might not get an answer, and it was right in front of you. So a successful team and a successful opportunity is when you are open to asking questions and getting feedback, and we're here to help you do that. Are there any other questions that we can answer at this time? Then get registered. If you haven't in Hoover, make sure you register, you get a sign in, download the app. Make sure your team members are reserving a hotel if indeed they need to. and you have made your reservations. Let us know if you have any issues between here and getting prepared for the PEPI. We're excited. We have a huge group so far. We have over 250 people registered, our largest in Hoover yet. And so we are preparing to serve and help you move forward. And again, show the strengths of what our legislation support is provided and how we can make inclusive programs across the state. We have different ways, if you're not already following us, in which you can follow us and share. Let us share back with you and spread the word, because we have more than 120 programs that we need on board. And right now we have 22. We're happy about that, but we want to move forward with additional ones. And we thank you. I see that there are some comments in the chat. It may be just comments. I don't know if there are any questions,
I don't see any.
but please let us know. Thank you so much for taking the time for being here. This is a very important time. If you didn't notice on the agenda, I do want to reiterate, if you are a new program and if it's the first time coming or you want to review, after the keynote reception, after the keynote presentation, general session on Monday, right when the expo is getting started, we do have a newcomers time where we want to do over an overview for all newcomers or people who want to review of the structure of the PEPI, and so that we can answer questions again for you. So please take a look at that agenda. Let us know how we can assist you. And we're so excited about seeing all of you again.
I'm going to stop the recording now. If anyone has